Hi, I'm Andy Mann, and I'm going to talk about how you can use Google Slides sort of like you could use Google Publisher. I do have a Google slide deck that I've used for 1 hour training, and all of the things I'm sharing and a lot more that I don't have time to share can be found right here. So if you go to bit.ly/publish with slides and click the use template, you're welcome to have a copy of my slide deck. I'll go ahead and close that. I just want to make sure you have the URL right there in case you need it. So to begin with, to start a new slide deck, the easiest way to do it is just type in slide.new. Slide.new gives you a brand new slide deck. You could go up under Drive and go the right folder and New and use from template and all that, but the slide.new technique just becomes second nature. You do need to be in a Chrome browser and be signed into Google to use it, but boy, does that make it easy. Another thing to do is know that you can use the selection rectangle to grab groups of things. Like right here, I've had people, I say, well, go ahead and delete those two things on the front. And they click and they click and they try to delete it. All you have to do is just click outside of it, hold the mouse button down, drag over it. All those get highlighted, hit the delete or the backspace key, and they're gone. And I usually don't set up a theme because I'm just using this as a white piece of paper. The next thing to know is that this is not the size you want for your paper. You can go up under File, you can roll down to Page Setup, and in Page Setup, you can change widescreen to custom, and then you can make sure it says inches over here, and you can say, I would like this to be an 8.5 inch by 11 inch piece of paper. Now, if you never plan on printing this, it's just going to be something else, then you really don't need to do this. But I want to make sure that you know that it's so easy to do. So now I have an 8.5 by 11. I could have made it 11 by 8.5, but I can also click over here and start duplicating that. Under the word slide is duplicate slide. The shortcut is also Control D. So if I say, I might want 3 or 4 pages, I'll just hit Control D, Control D, Control D. And as you can see now, I quickly have multiple 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper ready for me to do my work. Now, one of the things that I'll start with a few of my favorite shortcuts on in here, and one of the shortcuts is that you can easily resize text. So let's say that we want our students to do a graphical organizer before they do their autobiography, and we'd like them to put something in the middle here, and then around the outside, they're going to have some of the main ideas that they're going to have in their story. So when I come on up here, I can do a shape. Now, I will tell you, you could also go up and say insert an image, and you could say from the camera, and they could even put a picture of themselves in here if you wanted to be in the center. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to say that I want a shape, and I'll use a circle, which is actually an oval shape when you do it here. So I'll go ahead and put that in. Probably if I was really doing this, I would change my format to be wide instead of tall, but let's just start here. So I'll click and hold, and this creates my oval for me to type in. Now, I'm going to say I don't like that color, so we'll make it a pretty blue. All shapes in Google Slides you can type in. So if I want to put Andy Mann and type my name in, it's really easy to do. I'm going to tell you two shortcuts right here. Now, these shortcuts I have all listed over here on one of my slides in my slide deck that I've shared with you. So in slide 10, these shortcuts are there. So you don't have to be like writing them all down. They're right here. So the first shortcut I want to tell you is that when you have this selected, either you can have it selected like this, or you can just have it selected like this. You can't have your cursor, that little black line in there. And that's one of my very favorite shortcuts. And that is that when you have something selected, you can hit Control, Shift, and the greater than key. That happens to be the period key. And you keep holding Control and Shift, and you just keep with your right hand start typing that greater than key. And you can easily make it a font size larger. And guess what? The less than key makes it a font size smaller. This also works in Google Docs. It's just a really handy little shortcut. And that's Control Shift greater than and less than. Even some other apps use this same shortcut. Another one is that you can center things. It is Control Shift E. They couldn't use the C because it was used for other things. But if I hit Control Shift E, that automatically centers the text inside the shape. Also works in Google Docs and other places as well. So now I have my name in here, and I've made it larger with the Control Shift greater than, and centered it with the Control Shift E. And Control Shift L is left aligned and right aligned as R. So now I would like to have some more of these out here. At this time, I'm actually going to just delete my name because the copies I want out here, I want that to be my example. Now we all know that we can do a copy and paste, or if you know the shortcut, Control C and Control V, but you may not realize that if you hold down the Control key, or on a Macintosh, it's the Option key, and if you go to this edge of it, make sure you have this four-headed arrow. You can click and drag, and when you let up, it makes a copy of it. I can click and hold and drag. I'm holding down the Control key, and it makes a copy of it. Now, some people are very particular. They like to have things nicely lined up. And the constraint key on in Google Drawing and Google Slides is the Shift key. So why isn't a constraint key important? Well, let's say that you were drawing an object up here and you really wanted your object to be a perfect triangle, and I draw this and my triangle is just not very perfect. But if I were to do it and hold the Shift key down when I draw it, you can see it's a perfect equilateral triangle. So knowing the Shift key is a constraint key, we call it. You use it to apply a limitation or a constraint. So if I'm holding this and I would like to make some more copies of this, maybe down across the bottom or maybe both of them, I'll hold the Shift key down and select both of them. First off, I'd like those to be aligned. So I'll come over here and say align vertically the top. So now they're both nicely aligned, but I'd like some more copies of those down. So if I hold the Control and drag, again, Option on a Mac, but if I hold the Shift down at the same time and drag, it locks it into the direction I'm dragging. You notice it put a little red line to say it's locked in. If I were to go the other way, you can see it puts a little red line to say I'm locked in based on the direction I'm dragging. So I'll drag a set down here. I'll keep that Control and Shift down and drag another set. So now I have some little ovals on here that I could write text in. And because my original was set to a certain size, any of these, if I start typing text, it'll use that same size that I had there before. So that's just the first little shortcut, that was holding down the Control and dragging, and then the Control Shift and greater than. Let me show you a couple of other tricks that are useful. Number one is you can put a placeholder image in. So when you come up under Insert and you say Insert an image, you can actually search Google and find the word placeholder. Now, why is that nice? If you're creating a template for your students and you would like them to put something in this box, they can right click on this and they can roll down to say replace the image, and now they can either go to their camera or go to their drive or search Google, and it puts it in a shape that's already predetermined. So that's another little handy trick that you can do. Another one that I like is that you can create infographics. So instead of being an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you can create the infographic to be longer. And I've even given you some templates here that if you would like, and you could just say use the template, and now you could fill this in and the students could modify that. Last tip is that you can change the background by inserting an image into the background. My math teachers absolutely love this. So on this slide, I have a background. I'm going to right click here and I'm going to say change the background. And instead of using a color, which is what we're used to, I'm going to choose an image, and I'm going to do a Google image search and search for the word grid. And I'll say, here's a nice grid that I found right here. Oh, I even like this one better. I'll go ahead and insert it. And now I'll say done. And this is now the background of my slides. And the only way a student could modify it is if they were to go to background and to change it. So now the students can graph on top of this or maybe do a number line, and it's right there in the background and it can't easily be changed. So those are a few tips for you today for Google Slides, using it like Publisher.